This is really cool because Arthur actually was joining us if you were there yesterday in the comments, and I was like, yo, we need to bring him up as a guest. And I think this is probably one of the cool things about the show is that I can just send out a link and I can add really cool people to it. So,
What's up?
what's going on, Arthur? How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. You can hear me all right?
You sound great. You sound great.
Okay,
Yeah, I just sent him the
excellent.
link like 2 seconds before we started. So we're gonna do this on the fly. This is gonna be like super live.
Let's do it.
Before we dive on into the Feedly, and then we'll see what interesting things that we find. You sent me something cool, and funny enough, all my friends in like my movie chat and stuff like that sent me this too. So speaking of marketing activations, so wait, I never asked you. I think in DM, are you a big Severance fan?
You know what? I only just watched the first like 2 episodes.
Oh no way! So you have like
Or first
no
episode,
idea
yeah.
what's happening.
Yeah, so I have no idea.
It's a wild one for sure. You have to text me after you finish the season episode 9. But you got to hurry. You got until Friday until the new episode comes out.
Yeah, no spoilers, please.
Yeah, I think you're gonna be in like spoiler land come over the weekend though, because everybody's gonna be talking about this. I think.
Fair.
So be prepared. So on to more relevant things to our jobs. They did a pop up, and I actually didn't really read the article. I just watched some of the clips from this, but essentially, and what's funny is I saw his picture, and I was like, oh, that's like a really good Adam Scott lookalike. It's either, but I think this is the first time I've ever seen it where they put the actual actors in the like the activation.
It's wild. I mean, it's like take your budget for creating, giant Instagrammable backdrops and
sure.
pay the actors to just show up in a glass box with almost no set at all. And
sure.
it's brilliant, man. It's absolutely brilliant.
And they probably gave him like a few things that they said that they could do, here and there, like kind of give him activate, like, hey, like, you can vacuum and, all these things like that. Like, but I'm betting this was all ad libbed. I mean, a lot of them are comedy actors too, so they're used to, doing their thing. But yeah, I'm betting like, the glass, the computers, the set piece, what we're talking probably maybe like $5,000, $6,000, maybe $10,000 worth of cost. But there's probably like a good solid tens of thousands of dollars just paying the actors to be there, right?
Oh, totally. I'm curious to know like how long they were actually in there. Was it like a 10-minute thing? Like,
Yeah.
they got the footage they needed, and
And then then they were good. I mean, obviously the fact that this made it into my movie chat, you sent it to me, it got its good media coverage for sure. And wild too. I don't think I've ever seen a marketing activation with this thick of a crowd too. Most people like walk by, they go, "Oh, that's cool," or maybe they take a picture in front of it. I haven't seen something like this where really like everybody's there.
yeah, it's a big draw.
Can you imagine if somebody who didn't know what Severance was? So, like, that's where the big part of this comes in. Is like everybody who's a fan of Severance and has Apple TV probably knows that the season 2 is coming. This is really to hype people up to like get them to watch the first season, like you had. Had you watched this show before you had seen about this, or did this spur the?
No, I watched it just before.
Oh wow. Okay. So it was just like good timing. What was kind of I'm just curious to know too, like because I honestly like it takes a lot for people to like watch a show. Like for me to like watch a show, like 5 or 6 people have to like be like, this is your show. You're gonna love this because there's just every day someone's like, oh, have you seen this show? Have you seen this show? Like, what prompted you to give it a try?
Frustration, really.
Wait, what? Wait, because people were just like,
No,
like,
frustration with just not knowing what to watch.
Mm.
I find this problem that I don't watch a lot of shows, to be quite
Yeah.
honest with you. I like binging series. So like once it's over and there's multiple seasons available, and I
you're
can
like,
just,
I'll go for it.
I hate having to wait another week to like my short term memory is so bad that like by the time next week rolls around, I'm like, oh, what happened last week? The recap
Yeah.
helps, sure,
Yeah,
but I
yeah, the
mean,
recap definitely helps.
I like to binge shows. So, like Game of Thrones, I just rewatched because I was like, I can't watch it. I couldn't find anything I wanted to watch. So I rewatched like all the seasons of Game of Thrones. And so that's just me. I like to binge watch shows. So I usually wait for the show to just finish. But you do run the risk of getting a lot of spoilers that way.
Oh,
So,
100%. I can't
you
handle
know,
spoilers at all. Like, because a lot of stuff I like to watch is Severance like, where there's a lot of mystery and a lot of like trying to guess what's happening, and then there's usually big crazy twists and things like that. So like, I can't handle the spoilers at all. So that's why I like watching it. But it's funny because I'm a little bit the opposite, where I actually like there because there's honestly I don't think there's a lot of mystery I think in life, but like for me there's not enough mystery in life. So like the suspense and like the like you were in such an instant gratification world, like that week long anticipation of the build up and what's going on and oh it's Friday, like we get to watch this, like I just can't get over that sort of thing. So it's funny how like we're complete opposites when it comes to that style of things. Um, but
it's
I
okay.
think
I
you
still
chose
like you.
chose a good show for sure. Okay, let's do this. Let's bring on up. Should I bring up the Feedly and
Yeah.
react to what's going on in the world today?
What the heck is going on in the world today?
What the heck is going on in the world today? As I can get my tabs hopefully working. I'm getting better at this live streaming thing and getting back in the swing of things. I'm so used to like, I mean, I don't have, when I did Event Icons, I never had the production value of your show. Like your show, like just mind blows me away of with how much production value, which by the way, if none of you guys have watched Arthur's show before, you have to go check it out. I'm sure we'll drop a link in the comments and all that fun stuff. But I'm so used to like podcasts where I just sit down and it's me and the guest and you just talk through it, and back then it was like people thought it was a production value that we had like an intro video and an outro video. They're like, whoa, this is crazy. You can bring up, and that we could like, bring up the questions on screen wasn't possible. Like the amount of production value that is possible now is just mind blowing. And the fact that I'm running this all in my browser just, I'm starting to make myself feel old. Okay. So,
Yep,
all right,
I'm just
Arthur, you get
kidding.
to react to Will's feed of stuff. So I
Let's
read a
do
lot of
it.
like EV news. So you'll see a lot of stuff about like announcements of EVs. This looks like it's the only priority article that's popped up so far. So let's dive into the non big stuff. Um, well, LA fires are still going,
That's
which is
definitely a big
wild.
story. Yeah.
Like absolutely bonkers. Yeah, I hope at this point people are watching enough about this to understand what's going on. There's definitely, I think, a lot of like misinformation that's going on, and at first, you think to yourself, oh, it's in L.A., it's in the city, it's going to get put contained really, really fast, and it's wild how it's still definitely going hard, which is absolutely crazy on there too. So.
Yeah. How do you think that's going to affect the events industry and entertainment with
Yeah,
LA? I just read that they're all the major record labels are postponing all their pre-Grammy events because Grammys are early February.
oh, interesting. I think I was yesterday when I was looking through the feed. Again, this is where my lack of ability to stick things sometimes stick in my brain. I think it said something like, I don't remember the Grammys. Maybe it was the Golden Globes. No, because Golden Globes just happened. It was maybe the Emmys. It was one of the, we're in award season right now, so there's like every single one's happening. But I think it was something along the line saying like they aren't postponing the show.
Not the show yet.
And maybe it was the Grammys, but it's interesting to hear that the Grammys like the labels that are doing their parties are postponing it. I'd be curious to know how many of their like pre Grammys parties would be happening more in these areas, because like from my understanding, again, like I'm not watching this like every hour of every day, but my understanding is that like it's probably not going to reach literal downtown LA where like where like the theater is and all these things like that, and my understanding is too is like I know people have said like maybe the Hollywood sign's going to catch on fire, but my understanding is that it's very far away from where the Hollywood sign is. So I'd be curious to know, and this is where Della knows better than me because she worked in a job that had to understand LA geography way better than me. But my understanding is that it's not going to necessarily reach the venues. So I'd be curious to know like how many of these like the Grammys pre-parties and things like that are are in these areas where they're potentially happening and or potentially reachable. And I think also too, like from a marketing perspective, uh, like there's a perception too.
Yeah, it's
Let's
optics for sure.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
hosting a party
yeah. The
while
city's burning to
while
hell.
while your employees are also the houses are burning and artist houses are burning down and things like that. I mean, like, I think anybody who's up for a Grammy potentially it might not be hitting that point of oh my gosh, I can't buy another house. But it's definitely I'm thinking about the person who's the recording engineer or the assistant to the CEO who probably they lost their house and I hope they have great insurance and I hope they have a place to stay and and their
Great
livelihood and
insurance
stuff
or
like that.
not, it may not be
Yeah, true.
enough.
Yeah, it's
It
true.
may
That's
not be
true.
enough.
That's
Hey,
true.
Will, by the way, I feel like I'm getting a little bit of an echo from me on you.
Yeah,
Do
probably.
you have your
Have
echo
you going through my
cancellation on?
speakers? How dare me? Let me
I know.
turn.
That's what happens when you
Man,
have a guest on the show,
gosh dang
and
it!
I come through your
How
speakers.
dare you at
It,
all? Yeah, let
I
me
can deal
switch.
with it. I just don't want the people at home being like, "Oh,
Oh, terrible. Yeah, no, it's I the second I had to go through, I was like, oh shit, I gotta put headphones on. All right, let me switch this on over, and
it's okay.
hopefully
It's
I
not
don't
terrible. It's just I hear it a
break all
little
my
bit."
audio. So we'll see. Well, in the meantime, Arthur, you get to entertain them while I switch my audio over.
Ooh.
Um,
Okay. Let's see what's the
all
next
right.
headline. The best of Google AI now included in workspace, business, and enterprise plans.
Yeah, this is interesting. Okay. Well, the good news is I switched my audio over and it worked perfectly the first time, so that
Great.
never
Love
happens.
that.
So thank you. All right, here we go. Looks like yeah. So I also watch a lot of what Google's doing because I obviously am a workspace user and stuff, and I'm like an IT nerd. But it looks like for all because this is the part that's starting to get confusing is like where do you get all these little features that Google's coming out with like AI can write your emails. AI is including Google Drive. But what's interesting is before all this happened, so if I understand this headline before I even read the article, is that before all of this was possible, you had to pay for like a Gemini like enterprise service. So you had to pay like an additional $10, $20 per month per user if, for example, like Bizzabo wanted to make sure every single employee had all these AI features. On top of the $10 to $15 per user you're paying for Google Workspace. Well, I think what's starting to happen is that Microsoft's starting to include this stuff automatically in Microsoft 365, and you don't have to pay like extra for, oh God, I don't even know what Microsoft's AI tool,
Copilot?
Copilot. So it looks like they're starting to include a bunch of different features in this. This one's really interesting. All your Google Drive PDFs can be summarized. Are you using Gemini at all? Or using any of the Google tools?
Not as much. I mean, the Google AI stuff rolled out in Canada after it rolled out in the
Oh yeah, I
US.
forget. Sorry.
I'm Canadian. Sorry, folks. Yeah, I apologize for everything. I'm so sorry. Sorry, I'm Canadian. So honestly, like, ChatGPT came out here first.
Cool.
So I went all in on ChatGPT. And so no, I haven't used the Google, although I'm going to start poking my head around in there for sure. I know that Google is making some big moves in the AI department. Their new video model, VO, I think it's called VO, is looking really, really good. Did I try that? No, I tried Sora. I got access to Sora. I tried that. But the VO, I've asked for access to it. I mean, the AI stuff, it's like a race to the bottom for these AI companies. They're although it's interesting because
commoditized in a lot of ways.
ChatGPT just released their Plus model, which is like going the opposite way, or not the Plus, the Pro.
The Pro model, like was it $200?
$200 a person.
Yeah.
That gives you access per month. I mean, that gives you access to Sora with like a lot of credits.
And
which
access to their like advanced reasoning model and
that's
things like
right.
that. Like it makes sense. Like when you see how much energy I think takes for one of these like inputs, it's like prompting itself like 15, 20 different times on there. So it makes a lot of sense that it's more expensive too. But yeah, you're right. It's interesting to see that it's starting to go up more on the high end side of things. So
And if you saw I don't know if you saw the Jensen Huang um, keynote from CES
a little bit, yeah, a little bit of
with
it.
talking about the GPUs, and I mean these GPUs that were thousands of dollars are now, he's just announced the 50 series, RTX 50 series, that are like starting at $599. And this is what, it's a GPU that could do the same processing that a 40 series could do, that you were paying like thousands of dollars for just a few months ago. So it's wild to see that. I mean, at the moment I can get myself a 50 series GPU, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, especially because you're running all the graphics and stuff off of your. Are you running like a big PC for all of your?
Yeah,
for your
I got
show?
I got a tower that I run. I have an RTX 30 series, and it works
Nice.
fine,
Yeah.
and but I think the ability, like the big game changer for these GPUs is that you're going to be able to run your own AI models locally,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Where you don't need access to the cloud. So that's great, because like it's using a lot less energy and compute power to do that, right? So
Well,
that's
it's kind of taking it, instead of it all being done in a data center. Now it's getting spread across millions of homes.
that's right.
So but it's nicer because as these models become more local and smaller, they're faster too. You don't have to rely like. I have fiber internet, so my stuff's like everything's just
Same.
super quick. But I think for a lot of people, they're running this off of a 30 megabit per second connection, and you start also talking about like video and audio and images, like that's if you can do that locally, it can probably go a little bit faster too. So yeah, I think the local side is definitely the interesting, especially from the privacy standpoint too. That I think that a lot of people are going to want it because Apple kind of shot the first gun, being like, we're gonna make it go local first, and then you make you aware when it's going out to a server somewhere, and then we're gonna have a private cloud compute that's just for you. So yeah, it's very very interesting. One thing I wanted to bring up on this is, again, like reacting to this live, is
Yeah.
they're adding all these features, but here's the most interesting thing. As part of Google Workspace, if you have a business or enterprise account, which I think most large-scale companies that are using Google Workspace are using a business or enterprise level. Even if you're small, sometimes you upgrade to it because it's just more convenient. But it's going to include Gemini Advanced, which I think includes their latest models, the ability to build your own, custom, what would be equivalent to custom GPTs. But this is interesting too. It's the Notebook LM Plus as well, which again, like this was $20 per month per user on its own to be upgraded to, which is really wild. Have you heard about Notebook LM Plus and how it's different than the normal LM?
No.
So this got really viral because you obviously could like enter a bunch of notes and images and stuff, and then it create like a podcast for you.
Oh yes, I did see about that.
So now they made it so as part of Plus, you can talk to the podcast. So I'm sorry, Arthur, I've replaced you with an AI as my guest on my podcast. It's wild. I mean, we're really cool innovations definitely coming, but I think, like you said, this is kind of a race to the bottom. Like, it's also, I don't know if it's necessarily always just a race to the bottom. I think there's a lot of talk right now about AI in general and how it's we've already capitalized on every piece of data that exists on the internet. Like every company's scraped everything either legally or illegally, and they need more data to be able to make these things smarter. So how do you get more data into these AI systems? Well, you turn it on for everybody. You make it included as part of everything, right? You make it so it reads all your iMessage messages. It makes it so it looks at every Google Drive file that exists across every Google Drive account that exists, right? Like
So they're making you pay to train their model.
Well, in this case, you aren't, because now it's included.
Right.
So like you're already paying.
Well, you're
already
still paying. Yeah.
Yeah, you're still paying. But like I was gonna have to pay for Google Business or enterprise either way because I need it. Like, for example, their enterprise plan is one of the few that has like a data loss management and things like that. A lot of requirements for enterprise level technology companies these days. And so like I need this. So the fact that this is included now just saved me a bunch of money, which is pretty interesting. So it's definitely going to get woven in more and more. So I'm seeing a lot more people now, though. Are you using any of the Apple Intelligence features?
I'm not. I believe I need to upgrade my phone to.
Okay.
I will on the next. I don't usually go for the first iteration of anything.
Yeah. Probably
Um,
smart. Don't be like me. I have so many bugs. Like I upgrade my phone like when I'm in the middle of like music festivals and I'm like, oh great, we're gonna update to the newest beta, and then like my phone stops working. I'm like, this is great. I don't know where any of my friends are.
I heard though that it's a disaster. The Apple Intelligence, that
It
it's just completely buggy and it's not working. People are having trouble making phone calls. They
Oh
can't
really?
access their photos. Um, so
It's not like revolutionary for sure. Like this is the problem with when you're Apple in a world that is very much pushing the envelope of like what's possible. It's like everybody wants bleeding edge. Show me something new I haven't seen before. And if you're gonna come out with something AI, it better be something I haven't seen before. Um, but what's interesting is that it's definitely, I think the best feature is the summarization of text message threads and notifications. But, of course, it's not perfect and it's, missummarizing news articles and saying that, this person's dead when in reality they're not dead and this person's alive and it's an obituary and things like that. Like, so it's not perfect for sure, but I like the direction that they're going with it, but I think it for everybody right now who is like us, where we're like, show us something that's going to make my life like 10 times better and blow my mind when, especially all the innovation that we're seeing everywhere else, it definitely does feel very, very mediocre for sure.
yeah, I
So,
mean, I feel like a lot of these AI platforms are essentially toys right now. Um,
yeah, yeah.
and that until like the idea or the concept of like an agent that can
Hmm.
actually execute things for you comes to reality, and I know it's that there are AI agents, but like that are easy to use that like a layman person can
Yeah.
use or have locally on their computer, where it's like when I get an email from someone, reply or notify me, or like there's so many different actions that an AI agent could take, or get an email, add it into the CRM. It's like,
Yeah.
all these different actions that it can do. That's what I'm really excited for. Cause I mean, right now I feel like my best use of AI personally is I like AI images and video. I like
Yep.
creating that for content and storytelling. And I like using, the large language models for ideation and just writing, because I'm just a terrible writer. Like
Oh, yeah.
I don't like to sit down and write. So what I do is I just turn my mic on, I go to audio, the mic, I speak to ChatGPT and I just talk to it like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just
And
give it my ideas and
almost
then
word vomit into it.
word
Along the way.
vomit into it, and then it'll spit something out, and then I'll say, yeah, I like that, but blah 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 blah. I
Yep.
literally don't touch my keyboard hardly ever when I'm using ChatGPT, um, because I feel like also I talk differently than I write. I just want
Yeah.
to speak in my own voice and tell it what I want.
Is
And
there like a master keyboard, global keyboard shortcut for you to be able to activate the advanced voice model of ChatGPT yet?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know if there's a shortcut on the.
Because like Perplexity does, and I pretty much almost switched majority of my stuff over to using Perplexity. And like for example on the Mac, it's a Command Shift P to do text, and then Command Shift V to do voice. Um, I mean, like, if ChatGPT hasn't done that yet, I would definitely check out the Perplexity one. If you like doing that sort of like, I just want to talk to you, like, I just do it all the time where I'm like, a lot of times I'm using it where like I'm having an extremely complex technical issue where like I'm tried everything that my knowledge and my thought process, turn it on, turn it off, close it, reopen it, check this connection, maybe this isn't working, maybe open it up in this order. And then it doesn't work, and I'll be like, okay, command voice. And I go, I'm trying to do this. Why can't I do this? And then, it gives you sometimes a basic answer. I'm like, I tried 5 of those things already. I didn't try this one. I tried it just now. It didn't work. What else could it be? And then sometimes I'll just like ideate. Like I think that maybe it's the fact that I'm running a new version of Mac, and it'll be like, oh, it could be because this version of Mac broke this. So like I'm the exact same way. Like the word vomiting into the AI, as terrible as that sounds, is super helpful. Right? I'm guessing you just checked to see if you saw like a global
Yeah,
keyboard shortcut.
I was looking for shortcuts in
You know, I'll ask
the
Perplexity.
PC app.
Perplexity knows.
Yeah, it's Perplexity. I don't know. There's a speech auto
Just check.
detect, but I don't think there's companion window hotkey. Okay, so there's a companion window hotkey.
Activate voice. So like here I'll show you what this looks like. So like I just did Command Shift P and then like it automatically switches over to the actual thing. But let's give this a try and see what it does. So it's gonna search the web. Alt space.
Okay, I'm going to try this right now. Let's see. Alt space. Alt space.
Oh wait, it does not directly enable. Yeah, it does the it looks like it's just the text input.
Yeah.
So it looks like they haven't made it where it can do. See, and this is what I love about the AIs. Like, I would have never thought about this. Well, you can then also use Windows voice recognition, which you don't want to use because ChatGPT is more advanced than Windows, I believe. You could use Auto Hotkey, which is like a software that does auto hotkeys. But yeah, there's no like direct thing. So at least they have the text one. But like, man, like I'll show you how.
I'm sure that's going to come eventually.
Let's see. I'm just gonna make sure I don't have anything like proprietary or anything like that on my computer screen. But I'll show you like. Let's see if I can show my entire screen. This is going to be a very terrible idea with an ultra wide monitor. But like, so for example, I'm going to close Perplexity and I'm just going to go Command Shift V. And then now I have an AI available to talk to at any given moment. Like this is where I see the future of like Max, Siri as well. But I like this a lot. The one thing I've noticed though, we'll see if it does it, is I'm noticing it can't tell when I've stopped talking. I don't know if it's because I'm using a third-party mic and a sound interface. I'm not 100% sure what it is that's causing this. It also could be, let's see if there's like a setting. Yeah, I don't know what exactly it is, but recently I've been noticing it just can't tell when I'm talking.
The opposite problem with ChatGPT.
Oh, you like leave it open and it just like keeps
Well,
listening?
No, where I'll be giving my prompt and I talk for a long time and then sometimes I take a pause and I like to think, or I'm like, and then it's like, and then it just starts giving me and I'm like, no, stop. I'm not done. I don't, I'll say to it, I'll be like, don't do anything until I say go. Right. And then,
oh, interesting.
So
and
it'll
still
just stay
stop.
Open because I want to stop. I want to think for a second, because if you don't say that and you talk and then you make a pause for even a short pause, it just starts going into creating the prompt, right?
That's interesting. Yeah, I never thought about that. Like, and I think we will get to that point where we have the ability to do that, because I think we're all dreaming, and this is I think in the next year, is like an always on microphone that's recording your meetings, that's recording your thoughts, it's knowing the conversations you're having, it's catching the things that like you didn't think of. Like I don't know.
That actually brings up a good point, which I don't know if you've thought about this, but you know those like the AI note takers?
Yeah, like the Plod AI and stuff like that, right?
Those are dangerous.
Yeah.
You need to be very careful with the AI note takers, because one thing I noticed is that if someone joins your Zoom meeting with an AI note taker, and then let's say they're like, okay, let's say there's somebody else, and I'm going to say to Will, why don't you stay on with me? Let's chat for a second.
Oh yeah.
The person leaves. It's still there. And I'm going, hey, Will, can you believe that idiot said this, and the other?
Oh yeah. It's in all the show notes. It's all in the notes.
And then they get the summary. So just be aware, if you use those AI note takers, or you're hosting a meeting and someone has an AI note taker, it does not leave when they do. So
Yes, yeah, that's
pro tip.
that is a pro tip. I'm notorious for kicking note takers out of rooms, especially because like a lot of them follow into like internal meetings and things like that. And like we're luckily like we're I'm very well aware of which ones are, like go to like a public or like a company based like thing. Like we use Gong as an example, is like the sales recorder, and the Gong recorder follows all the salespeople every meeting they go to.
Right.
Which like from some internal meetings is totally fine, like updates and things like that. But yeah, if you're having like an intense like, hey, like we need to solve this problem meeting. Have you seen this thing, the Applaud note taker?
No, but I'm skeptical immediately.
So this is not the egg.
Okay, first of all, I got to tell you something. I am so freaking embarrassed.
No,
Okay,
it's so totally okay. I was like, no way, this is real. You're like, it's for sure real. I was like, man,
okay,
I can't believe this is real.
Let me explain myself here. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, yesterday I jumped on in the comments in Will's stream, and I showed him this egg product from Enron, and I was convinced it was real. And now before I saw that video with them introducing the egg. They actually had a series of videos leading up to this. Will, I don't know if you've seen them, but
no,
they were
but like
legitimate interviews.
That
of this
article
new
I found
CEO.
was like the PR agency was a genius. I think it was the same people who did whatever like major fake announcement too. So yeah, anyway, sorry, keep going. Like it was like impressively real.
They had these interviews of this new CEO is coming. He's reviving the brand for Enron. Blah 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 blah. I thought it was real. And then I saw this egg thing, and it's like produced incredibly well. And basically, it's just like this
a portable reactor.
And the amount of detail, and like they do schematics and breakdowns and like explain how the thing works and everything. And Will instantly saw, I was like, this is a joke. And I'm like,
But I'm like, comparatively to you and me, is that I read so much tech news, like so much tech news that like. If I'm surprised I hadn't heard of this. Like, would someone create a portable nuclear reactor? I'm like, well, that would solve all of our energy problems. That was my first thought, and I was like, wow, how'd I miss this? Maybe like it's not as much on this, but like I think what really sold me on it was fake was I was watching that keynote and I was like, this guy literally created a portable nuclear reactor, and he's got like pipe and drape behind him. I'm like, even like Tesla, who it was like their first couple keynotes were starting to have like moving headlights and all this production value and stuff. I was like, there's got to be something. And then also the Enron thing. I was like, why would anyone ever buy the brand Enron? So like a lot of things just kind of started going off, but it looked impressively real. When you were like, it's for sure real, I was like, no way. And honestly,
it's the real logo, and it's like
yes.
They have a website, and
yes.
It's like legit.
Well, I think I didn't read that full article on like what the actual purpose of it was as they started kind of cracking it, but I think that the goal is that they actually are like reviving the brand of Enron, and this was all a stunt to draw attention, I think, to this founder and what they plan on doing. I'll have to read the article. I honestly like,
or it's just a brilliant advertising campaign for this PR company.
Yeah,
this is what we can do.
Oh yeah, this is what we can do. Yeah, that's that too as well. Like I think we're in such an interesting world of marketing and advertising. You know, I think if this was 5 years ago, people would have been like, I don't know. Like, I can't believe they did this. I can't believe they made this fake campaign. But nowadays, like I can't name like a single, like we talked about the Severance thing to start with, like how that might draw in some viewers and things like that. But like even that, like it's gonna spend a lot of money, and it hopefully draws in. I'm guessing to the return of that would be that you'd have to get a bunch of new Apple TV subscribers to subscribe or to retain them longer, and man, I mean, you'd have to get so many subscribers to pay for that one single activation. The ROI on it would have to be massively higher. And I feel like we're in this world where like everyone's trying to figure out how to do marketing in a new post-AI world. And to be honest, like I mean, they did a good job. If the goal was for the PR agency, whatever those speculations you and I have around it, like it got our attention, and we're talking about it now based on that, which I think is huge.
Yeah. So what's this
Uh,
Plod thing? Is this
okay, so
another rabbit? Is it another rabbit, or what was the other one?
yeah, the rabbit was the little orange one, and then
Was
it
it
was the
AI pin?
the
Humane.
humane pin. Yeah, no, it's a little bit more realistic because it's a little bit more tight in scope. So they started off with this little like Apple Card device that you. Let me go back. Clicking on things, I'm bad. So it started with this thing, which popped up in a lot of like I have this weird intersection of like tech and productivity in my my YouTube feed. And so this like basically intersects perfectly with it. Like, what if you could record all your calls and have AI assistants? Granted, this came out before Apple Intelligence and a bunch of other things, but the idea is it's magnetic, goes on the back of your iPhone, and it essentially records your calls. So I personally do not use my phone as a phone. Like if I have to, like I'm gonna have to call the car dealership to get my car fixed, I'll do it because I have to. But if you can give me the option to text or email, I'll do it 100%. So essentially, it goes on the back of it, records all your calls. You have the ability to also just hold it and record calls. And it you know, everyone's trying to solve this problem of like AI plus hardware. Like, what's going to be the killer hardware thing in the future? I think this is a really smart idea. The problem with it is that it came out before like Apple Intelligence came in. And it also has this problem that like I love this idea of recording all my calls, but I also, this is what no one's solved yet, is I want something that records my personal calls, my all my meetings that I'm doing. I want it to record my in-person meetings. Like I'm looking for the thing that records all of my meetings and important conversations across everything and puts it in one spot for me. I think Apple might be the first to figure it out if they can figure out how to get into Zoom, but this is where I think these guys were trying to solve it for the phone itself. So if you're doing a lot of actual phone calls, I think this can be killer. The great part about it too is it doesn't require an app. It just sits on the back of your phone and it actually hears the call through the phone, which is wild. So yeah, so it's very interesting. It lasts like I think like a week of battery life. But the reason why I think where it's getting more interesting is that they're doing this pin, and you know you wear it like a necklace. You can pin it on you using magnets, and this is like I can't talk too much about it because I have like very, very big ideas when it comes to AI's use at events. But anybody who knows what I'm working on and things like that, and where like I get excited about this idea of recording conversations, you can kind of understand I think where my mind's going. But like I think the idea of like recording every conversation that you have, this is where I think the future of AI is going to go in the next year is like how do we create personal context into everything that we're doing, right? That's where I'm curious to see where we're going to go with this.
Yeah, it's interesting to see all these sort of hardware devices that really are very sort of niched and they do like sort of one thing. I
Mm-hmm.
think like Apple's in a good position to be able to, if they, okay, the Apple Intelligence isn't working that great. They've released things before that haven't worked that great. They will fix it. They are a
Yeah.
brilliant company. They have the best engineers in the world. If, the iPhone can do all the things that you need it to do, it can record the conversations. You can edit or create or manipulate your photos with AI. You can have your LLM on your phone natively. They are in the best place, I think, to sort of capitalize on the hardware AI sort of market.
I agree. I think where I think if I was Apple, Tim Cook, thanks for listening to our podcast and our show. I would do is I would honestly create a beta experimental feature because they do it now where you can record your calls on iOS, and the summaries all go into your Apple Notes app. I think what the next step is turn that on for listening to the audio that's going on my computer. Like, I can't imagine there's not some engineer who's saying, why don't we make it where we can just listen to everything that goes on your computer? Like, it wouldn't matter whether it's a Zoom meeting, a Google Meet meeting, whatever it is, it would get your input from your microphone and it would get all the output that's going out and save those notes into my Apple Notes. And like, I want to start doing that as soon as possible. And then I think then the next feature is that having the LLM look through all your Apple Notes, and then Apple Notes becomes your like central depository of everything. Like I legitimately would probably stop using Google Docs for almost everything like overnight if that was the thing, because now I have the ability to get that like full personal context window.
Yeah, I think the issue I wonder about with that is like storage on the
Yeah,
actual
yeah,
device.
yeah,
I think what might be an interesting idea is like if Apple created like, I guess they already have it with iCloud,
yeah,
but
yeah.
right,
Auto
like you
back it
can
up.
back it up exactly. Yeah,
Yeah. So we'll see.
yeah.
I'm demanding it. And that's what like I feel bad for all these companies. I mean, like I don't feel bad for them because they're probably doing really well. And to be honest, this is the part where we don't hear about it as much from Apple. Is that Apple like just acquires companies like this, and just there's no press release, no one ever talks about it, and they'll buy this company and be like, we want your ability to have like what is it, this feature that I can ask it, what was my steps for the project last week? Like, boom, here you go. Oh, hey, we like this piece of hardware. We want to figure out how you took this microphone and made it so battery efficient that it was on all the time for like 8 hours straight. So we'll see where it ends up going.
I wonder what
Arthur,
happened to that the rabbit. Did you see the rabbit?
oh yeah, dude. They're selling it off for parts, I think.
Is that what they're doing now?
It's either
Because
Rabbit or Humane. Yeah, it's
well, Humane
so
is definitely. I
yeah.
can't see
I
that.
think I think
surviving.
Humane's selling off for parts already. They already announced that they're trying to sell a bunch of different stuff. Rabbit now they now make it so you can buy the software and run it on I think an Android phone, which is what everyone said. Like this is stupid. It's literally an Android app.
But I like the idea behind it. The
Oh,
large
I love the idea.
right?
Like
Yeah.
whoever like that like little frenzy we had for like 2 or 3 months of like, can we replace the smartphone was amazing. Like that got a glimpse into like the future. And Brant and I have talked about this on Event Tech podcast, but I think Brant and I agree that like I think when whoever figures out glasses and embeds it within there, that's what's going to replace us looking at our phone screens a lot. So
I actually saw a really cool new product from CES it's a pair of glasses. There's no tech inside the glasses. Like
the
it's
projector into your eye.
USB-C. Nope. It's a USB-C connects to your phone and it becomes a screen for your
Oh,
phone.
like like the X Real glasses, right?
Yeah, which is really cool because I mean it's not like bulky like a Vision Pro or I can totally see that in on the bus or traveling, just a simple pair of glasses that USB-C into your phone, and now
Yeah.
you can like actually look around, and it's really cool.
Yeah, I've been watching these guys for a little while. They're definitely the leaders in this space. Ignore the AI dog. But yeah, like building a this is a great representation of what the glasses
Yeah,
experience is like. You literally have a screen in front of you. Yeah, this is like I think one of the ones that's doing really, really well. I think that way, man. There's like a bunch of different technologies. I'll have to find the YouTube video because I reference this so much. But there's a video where it talks about like how there's all these different technologies of like who's gonna figure out the AR glasses. Yeah, it's an interesting world we live in today for sure. Okay, Arthur, we gotta keep going through the feed.
let's
Otherwise, I'm
go.
not
Let's go.
201 articles to fire
Oh,
through.
is that the mandate to get through every single
Yeah,
article?
I'm gonna read these regardless, so I might as well
Okay.
do it on air, and you guys
All
all
right.
get to hear my live reactions, right? But no, that's my goal, but we'll see how it ends up planning out. You let me know if you see anything interesting on here. Yeah, there's a lot of this week. I think a lot of down with social media news. I've been noticing with the whole like
TikTok.
TikTok plus the Mark Zuckerberg getting rid of moderation plus like all the it's very very interesting to see what happens. I saw this news. Oh man, it was like yesterday. It might have been overnight. Watching like a news recap for the day, but TikTok ban is potentially going to happen on Sunday. Do you know what the number one app in the App Store is right now?
Red Note.
Yeah, Red Note. Yeah, so you heard
Yeah.
about this. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's another Chinese-based video platform clone of basically TikTok. So wild to me.
Yeah,
Absolutely
apparently
wild.
they're passing some legislation that's going to postpone this for almost a year.
Oh, makes
Two,
sense. Kick
yeah,
the can down the road. Why make any decisions about
yeah.
anything? I don't think we have any government-based people, so I don't think I piss off anybody talking bad about government. Um, let's see what else we got here. Let's bring back woolly mammoths. Can you imagine instead of having like a puppy den at your conference, you had a woolly mammoth petting?
Oh man, some things we should just leave alone.
Oh, hey, I mean this isn't event related, but Born Again trailer for the new Daredevil. It's the movie, right? No, it's a new TV show, right? I don't know. Do you care about Marvel at all? A lot of people
I
don't care
love
about.
Marvel. I'm not that into the shows, to be honest with you. I find them kind of cheesy. But
Yes, so some of them have gotten absolutely downright terrible. There's some that have been pretty good. Like I really liked season 2 of Loki. Loki in general has been really good. I think this. I'm trying to like skim this. This is like really testing my ability to read and talk at the same time. Blah blah blah. Is it a TV show? So I think this is so it's mentioning Disney Plus. So I think it's a TV show, but people love Daredevil. Go stick back to what was popular. Um, PacSun, TikTok marketing. What's this? They prep cases. Oh, they're like Monday's light because it's Super Bowl. Okay, that makes sense. For all my folks who like Leathermans are on sale right now. You just get like a peek into like Will's mind, like looking through my like news feed.
we don't even have TikTok Shop in Canada. There's no TikTok
really?
Shop here. No.
Someone in that I think I was talking about yesterday. The Verge is like my old hot takes for trends. They said like, look, TikTok basically is like QVC, and they said, look, if anyone's gonna acquire TikTok, it should be Walmart because like Walmart would like just slide in and basically become an online shop essentially. I don't have TikTok, so I have no idea how much the pressure is to buy things. But
hold on, go up for a sec. There was something interesting there. The Australian Open's animated live streams make players look like Wii Sports characters. That's interesting.
Yeah, that is very interesting. It does look like Wii Sports characters.
Is that their idea of like AR?
Probably. Yeah, I remember.
Although I've seen some amazing things in sports, like
this football stuff has been wild, right?
Football, basketball, where like you can actually like move the court around and like it's bananas. Like the future of live sports and entertainment is very exciting.
It's very interesting. You can sign up for ChatGPT with a phone number instead of your email address. Okay, what else we got here?
Did you hear that ChatGPT? Well, they bought the chat.com
domain
from Dharmesh Shah, owner of HubSpot, for $15 million or something like that.
It's like I couldn't talk about who bought it, but
Yeah, I wonder.
This is local. You'll get some Phoenix news in here too, which is really interesting. New Skift awards are up. Go apply for awards. Inclusive Airlines.
Oh, what's that? NVIDIA's AI PCs are a nightmare. Oh, NPCs.
NPCs.
What's an NPC?
A non-playable character. It's
that's what. Okay, that's what I thought, but I thought there was maybe something else in regards to.
I'm gonna guess that this is some like software development where they wanted to make it where like you saw like when ChatGPT first came out, people were like reprogramming Baldur's Gate to make it where NPCs could like just talk to you like a normal human, and it basically would just use it create the dialogue basically using ChatGPT. I think that's what basically this is. It's very interesting. As much as like I guess because help desks have really gone away, but if help desks were super popular in events, I'm surprised more people don't. I guess now we have it just built into like our event apps where you can answer questions and get help via like your phone. But I'm surprised there's no more like kiosks where you can go ask questions. I remember, I'll throw some shade out here. I remember when like Alexa was becoming super popular, I started seeing Alexa devices pop up at events and be like, ask us questions about the event. And I was like, this is the dumbest idea I've ever heard. It lasted like a whole like 6 months before it disappeared. Pretty sure I'm on a podcast somewhere saying it was the stupidest thing I've ever experienced. Man.
It's a tech industry.
All right, we're gonna go faster. DJI will. Oh yeah, this is interesting. We talked about drones yesterday. DJI makes it where they it was not required by law, but they were being the like lawful DJI that wants to help drones become more popular. They made it so like you couldn't fly it over the White House, you couldn't fly it over near airports, and that wasn't like required. They made it like you just like literally you try to fly places, it would just like be like, nope, you can't go there. Well, now they're turning that off, so you can fly wherever you want with the DJI drone. And I think this has a little bit to do with the whole like DJI ban, showing them like, look, we're actually good guys here. Like we could have made it so this is possible where you can fly it anywhere. Some people are like, "Wow, this is crazy! Like dumb people are gonna fly into airports." And it's like, look, if you wanted to buy like another brand of drone, you could have done this already. But I think the thing that people are missing the most is that DJI is the largest manufacturer of drones in the world. So the fact that like they're doing this, people don't realize like, well, yeah, sure, you could have if you really wanted to circumvent and God, I'm gonna get banned from LinkedIn. Fly a drone over to an airport. You could have done it already if you really bought that money. But the problem is like people who do these sort of things and make dumb decisions don't like plan out like I'm gonna go buy a drone. I know this one will let me fly it into an airport because I want to fly drones into airports. It's like someone buys a DJI drone on Christmas and just decides to fly it wherever they want and don't realize that they shouldn't be doing that. So this is going to be interesting, especially related to what we talked about yesterday too. So
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if at some point there's some laws put into place around that, and
yeah, for sure,
make the drone companies geofence certain areas, especially all that news you hear about New Jersey and drones everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, wow, this is wild that they did this in like the height of like drone panic that's going on across the world.
That is interesting. That is very interesting.
If you're out there and you're single in the world, Hinge's AI features will determine if your response is too basic on your profile. Some people do need that dating help,
You could also just pop that into ChatGPT because that's probably just using the API from that anyways.
That's true.
A completely useless feature.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just keep them on the platform. I mean, again, like people like the more dates that you get on Hinge, I guess the more you stick around. Another shout out to the Wirecutter Show for anyone who's not subscribed to that podcast. It's a good one. Get to see some political news because I follow a couple local newspapers here too. What else? Gosh, this is seriously like people are literally. Drake's still in a feud with Kendrick Lamar.
I'm Canadian and I can't stand Drake. So I want to put that out there. I definitely take Kendrick over Drake any day of the week.
How dare you? He's a national treasure to you all. No, I'm just. I have zero bone in that battle at all.
Hey, look at this Synesthesia. That's a good one.
Oh,
2.1 billion valuation for its B2B AI video platform.
Have you used Synesthesia at all?
I have actually, because funny anecdote. We had a postal strike here in Canada over the holiday.
Yeah. Is it still going on? Like
no, but I'm still waiting for a couple packages. But but thankfully they're not checks.
Thankfully.
But they, so my kids wrote a letter to Santa, as they do every year, and usually Santa writes back. But this year, the postal strike, we didn't get our letter back in time. And then I saw Synesthesia put out this free offer to create a Santa video.
Yeah, because he's busy. He's super busy.
He's very busy. You just put in your script. It gave you 180 characters or something like that for free. And so I created 2 Synesthesia videos, and I told my kids Santa emailed them to me. And they absolutely loved it. Yeah.
You're such a good dad. Love it. For anyone who hasn't heard of Synesthesia, basically, it's like you create text and then it creates like AI avatars that can talk. Wow, it's impressive. I mean, again, this is their demos, but it looks like it's gotten so much better. I mean, there's still a little bit of uncanny valley going on, but man, keep putting some GPUs behind this stuff, and we're gonna be going places, and we're.
So this is no different than Hey Gen, right? This is just kind of like competitor.
Yeah. I haven't heard too much about Hey Gen. I knew about this one early on. This guy looks so real. He's just ready for us to say something. All right, we have to play with their little demo real quick. Hopefully
Yeah,
you'll
do
be able
it.
to hear us. Let's see. Yeah, let's here, Arthur. Oh my gosh, why is it changing? Thanks for coming. Oh my gosh, what is going? Make sure I'm not like pressing any random keys.
It just
This might
wants you to
be.
sign up.
Yeah, it does. It's like it just keeps going on the live show.
Every stroke of the keyboard it jumps you down to a pop up.
Oh
Oh,
damn!
oh, I hate that. I hate
That's
that.
such a good flow right there, though. Like, oh, I guess I'll sign up. What it should have done is played like the first 2 seconds of the video. Granted, like this would take up a little bit of compute power and it would probably cost them some money, but here's some free marketing advice, Synesthesia. Make it where it plays like the first 2 seconds of the video and then pop it up. To get the rest, sign up. Because then now I'm hooked. I see like now I don't know what the quality of this is at all. Like, this looks really good, him just standing here, but also you could just be, showing a looping video of, Alex or Julia or Joshua just standing there. So
Actually, I think now that I think about it, I think the Hey Gen thing is that you can actually do it to yourself. You can create your own.
I think
right?
these guys can do it too.
Okay.
Because I remember that I used it. Personal avatars. Yeah, here we go.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, create a personal avatar. Interesting. Oh, this is wild too. It's like you're a video game character. You can literally build
Change your skin.
Change it. I want to lose a couple pounds, add a couple more, add a little bit more, muscles around my arms. Yeah, this is a crazy world. Crazy world living. All right. So, good news is they're getting more money. Everyone who doesn't have a UPS backup, put your internet on a USB backup, especially if you have home security stuff. Big pro tip. Batteries. I follow a lot of like when batteries go on sale because it's like one of these commoditized things. Yeah. Elements event, everyone's freaking out about the lineup. This is such a sorry, this is like me EDMing for a second, but a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, Elements Festival's lineup is just like so stacked. And it's like, I'm a big Electric Forest fan, so people are like, oh, the Electric Forest could have had such a better lineup. And so, sorry, this is like absolutely not relevant. So this is me just getting a chance to vocalize a internal thought. But it's funny, people are like, yeah, this like lineup's just so much better than Electric Forest. And then what's funny is that every single one of these artists have played at Electric Forest in the last 2 years. Aside from Tipper, Deadmau5, and like, I don't know if there's any other ones. Like, they're like the only two major artists that are on here that haven't played Electric Forest. So it's funny, a lot of people are like, this is basically like Electric Forest 2 years ago. Like, why should we have the exact same lineup? So, anyways, there's a little bit of Wook in me and music festival dude. Nelly's raising money to digitize medical practices across Europe.
Nelly, the guy with the bandit on his face?
Yeah, 100%. There's no way that this is that.
Or is that a company called Nelly?
Oh my God, it's a company called Nelly. Wow, Jesus.
Yeah, I just see
the. I fell for this one.
Getting hot in here, guy.
Well, you never know. There's like, a lot of these people pivoted their money into like, tech startups and stuff, but. Weird that it would be, yeah. That's why I was like, that's really weird. But they need to change their name. I'm pretty sure Nelly's big enough where. Was it like some company sued some artist for having their same name too? I forget what it was. That was more Wook news. Elon Musk being sued over the feds over the way he bought Twitter. We'll see how long that lasts in the next 5 days before we have a new president.
Yeah.
Chrome browsers. Oh yeah, Biden's pushing really hard to keep Chinese cars outside the U.S., which is very interesting.
He's got like a couple days left, bro. Just give
up. Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what ends up happening. I know this is a little political, so hang in there for anybody who's listening who doesn't care about politics. But I think they'll be interesting to see that how it plays out with the whole like what is Trump's view on electric vehicles as as Elon's one of his like trusted advisors and so active with everything, a lot of people are like, look, let's keep Chinese cars out because we know that it will protect companies like Tesla, Ford, GM, all the American car manufacturers. But then what's interesting is like if I think based on what he talked about in his political campaign, I'm very into electric vehicles, so I'm very fascinated by the politics of electric vehicles. But like, if for example Trump allows all Chinese electric cars to come in, like in theory, won't that like kill Tesla? It definitely will kill Ford and GM and all the American car manufacturers because they just can't compete on a $25,000 electric vehicle. But it'll be interesting to see what ends up happening in Tesla as that happens. And the only theory I have is that maybe Tesla knows they can make a $25,000 EV and they can compete with these Chinese car manufacturers. Or maybe that they know that they will come out with an electric vehicle that they know that once the Chinese car manufacturers come in, Tesla will now become the premium electric vehicle at $40,000 and up. And the GM and all these other car manufacturers just won't be able to compete at all. It'll be interesting. I'm just very interested to see what ends up happening.
Oh, it's fascinating.
Yeah,
I mean, some of these Chinese EVs look like amazing.
They're nice. They're really nice. I saw one in Phoenix a couple weeks ago, and it was one of the trucks. And I think it's like one of the $35,000 trucks, and it had Mexico plates, so that's how I was able to be here in the U.S. And it was really nice looking. I was staring at it, and I was like, "Wow, I can't believe that truck costs like 1/3 the price of my electric truck." Like it's mind blowing to me.
Yeah, I saw some video of some new suspension on one of these new Chinese vehicles that they had like a champagne tower on the hood, and
Wow.
they're driving over bumps.
Get out!
No, I'm swear
Such
to
a
God.
great demo.
And
this is real, tower, right? This is real, right?
God, I hope so. It may not have been. It totally could have been AI, but it looked cool.
That's amazing.
It's just going over the bumps, and the champagne tower is not affected whatsoever. So and then another one with the car that could jump over. I don't know if that was true either.
Oh no, yeah. That was a CES. It was like the Roadster competitor. Yeah. It was.
That's
wild. That thing was wild. Like, what an innovative idea, though. And this is really, I think. Okay, so I will get a little bit. I'm a event marketing professional. I'm not global policy. I just do it for fun sometimes when it comes to EVs. But like, if at some point there has to be like this, like, the market wins whatever the better product that comes out, and innovation has to come elsewhere. And like, again, like someone brought up a really good point that like, we kind of have everything else that we use today is made in China. Right, like our phones are made in China, our laptops are made in China, right? Like, and I'm also a big fan of American jobs and Canadian jobs, and buying from people in small batches and things like that, where it makes sense. But again, like if people really want an inexpensive car, no matter what the quality is, then they'll do it, and that's kind of what happened. I think like pre EV car economics wise, right? Like, there's the whole like history of like Volkswagen starting to make like the Beetle, which was also made in a very terrible time, by the way, if you ever learned about the history of the Beetle. But like, we started importing Volkswagen vehicles over very inexpensively, and, car manufacturers in the US started freaking out, but ultimately they stayed and they became a great brand in the US that a lot of people really loved. And guess what? Ford and GM still exist today, and they just had to get better and better and better. And like, I'm just that parts of me are like a free economics kind of free market economics kind of person. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It drives innovation. It drives competition.
Totally.
So
I'm all about that innovation. The car that jumps over stuff is wild, though. It's so cool, but also terrifying to think that speed bumps are like irrelevant now. And like, okay, yeah, you have a car that can go 200 miles an hour and jump over speed bumps.
Yeah,
like
I can't see that ever getting approved for the road.
Yeah, no, not at all. Not at all. But at the same time, too, like maybe it could be used for like an off-road mode or something like that. If like
or a whole new sport.
Yeah, or no, yeah,
like a
jumping.
whole new like
This is true.
jumping cars sport.
It's
Like that
like
would be sick.
hurdles in track, but now you
Yeah,
have hurdles in cars, something like that. So this is
extreme racing.
starting to get into news over the night, so we probably won't have as much breaking news sort of stuff in here. Oh yeah, so are you a gamer at all, Arthur?
Um,
Do your
not
kid?
heavily, but my kids have a Switch.
Yeah,
My
you have a
kids love
Switch.
the game. Yeah.
So I'll give you the heads up. The Switch, it's either today. I think it's today. Is they're going to announce the. They are going to announce today that tomorrow they're going to do a press event. This is what the biggest rumor is that tomorrow is the day they're going to announce the Switch 2, which is supposed to be backwards compatible with the Switch 1 games and everything like that. I don't think the cartridges, but at least the digital versions of it. And it's supposed to be like magnetic things rather than slide in and a bigger screen. And we'll see what ends up happening on it. But so, yeah, anyone who's
I'm sure
watching
my son will be asking for it as soon as it comes out.
Yep.
And he'll
That's
have
how
to
it
wait.
works. I'd be doing the same thing too. All right, what else we got on here? Okay, I have a question for you. Are you into air quality? Like this is just like a recent fascination of mine. Have you gotten into like understanding like your carbon monoxide levels inside your house and your PMIs and all these fun things? It sounds like super weird.
I
if you
have
don't.
a device that monitors the carbon monoxide, but that's
Nice.
pretty much it.
Like just like a normal smoke detector that like will go off if it gets higher, or it just shows your levels and
It
stuff
does
like
not
that.
show the levels. There's no
Okay.
meters on it or anything like that.
So this is an area that I just recently got really nerdy into. So what's interesting is that I started kind of watching I use the app. Oh my gosh, I'm completely blanking on the name. Carrot Weather, and it shows you obviously like your air quality levels when you're looking at the weather and stuff like that. And you see it over Christmas when everyone's lighting up their fires and everyone's driving their cars that like air quality levels are gonna get low. But I started getting into like localized air quality levels. Have you heard of purple air before?
No.
So for anybody who's really into, I think let's try to go for broke and just type in purpleair.com, see what happens. And so they make this is what I've learned is the kind of the cream of the crop company that makes it. There's a bunch of different like SwitchBot makes these. You go on Amazon, search like indoor air quality monitors. Like everybody is making one. These guys seem like they're the ones that are making like the best ones on here. And they developed this like giant map that lets you see, that pushes all the data into, where is it called? Because Weather Underground has it, but there's some, what is it? I don't think it's in their develop portal. No. Let's see if I can find it. Okay, so yeah, there's like a huge community of people who essentially have these and put them everywhere, and it lets them like check the hyper local levels of their air quality in like their backyard, and you can buy one to install in your backyard, and sort of thing. And obviously, like a little bit of a pricey tag when it comes to it, but apparently these guys are the best and honestly the most inexpensive. But what's wild is CES. I missed this news until I was watching a video last night. Is they made one that like so small for indoor that plugs right into like a USB port. The only reason I've gotten really into this, not only reason I've gotten really into this, apparently you can put it in your car. That's wicked smart. But is that I also have one built into my like Dyson fan, and it's very interesting to see the times in which it notices there's particulate levels are very, very high. And sometimes I go like, why is the fan all of a sudden like kicking on really high? Because I have like an auto mode where if it gets really bad air quality, it just kicks on high to circulate air. And, it makes sense when we're cooking or, we light incense or a candle or something like that. But what's interesting is sometimes it just goes off crazy. And I'm like, it must be going wrong. But I started researching this a little bit more, but how often like our houses have a lot of carbon monoxide in them and carbon dioxide as well, and just like particulates in the air that we just don't really ever notice. So in a couple months, you might hear me talking about buying one of these and being completely paranoid about what my air quality levels are all the time. But this has just been like kind of a fascinating piece of tech, smart home tech that
Well,
I've
I
into
think
recently.
this type of technology is going to be commonplace.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, with global warming and the
Mm-hmm.
fires and
Yes.
like accidents, chemical spills,
Yeah.
all these kind of things. I mean, I actually live not too far from a nuclear power plant, and
Oh.
everybody within 100 kilometers or 100 miles. I can't remember, but everyone within a reasonable distance of the plant gets these rad block pills.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
It's like that's some Fallout shit right there.
That's some Fallout shit right there. So I have rad block. So if there was a nuclear
Wow.
fallout, I can take this pill and it will block the radiation.
That's wild. That's absolutely bonkers. Well, because nuclear is huge out here in Phoenix too, because we have gosh, I'm just terribly gonna forget the name of the Palo Verde nuclear plant, I think it is, and we don't get anything like that. Well, and you're within 100 miles of it.
Or
I'm
100
easily
kilometers, which is
yeah,
maybe
even
like 50
even 100
miles or something.
kilometers. I'm
Yeah.
within that for sure.
Yeah.
Well, let me, dude,
You
got
can
me. This
you
is
can look it
interesting.
up. You can get these pills. I don't think they're
When was the nuclear power plant built? Just curious.
I'm not sure. I want to say probably in the 80s,
Okay.
but
I'm
I think
wondering.
it was revamped recently. So I think
So this is where. So I'm probably gonna. I don't think I'm gonna dox myself. I think it's very easy to figure out generally where I live. So I live. This is where the nuclear power plant is. I live in this general area of Phoenix. So like I'm easily within maybe 20 miles, maybe like what's that, 40 kilometers or so? Yeah, 40 kilometers of of it. Very interesting though. And I'm wondering though if it like it has to do with like the style of nuclear power plant. I'd have to look it up. This is honestly where I'd usually just ask Perplexity. My desire to like research this would just go to like let's go to Perplexity and say I live at near this Power Verde nuclear plant, you know, you're googling it right, or you're perplexing or chat GPTing it right now, aren't you? And
I'm not
you
that
know,
good at multitasking with you.
I'd just be curious to know, yeah, like why your plant would do that, or if it's something that like,
Well, I think it's just Canada. We really care.
yeah, I was
About
gonna say it's
live
probably
here.
that like Canadians actually care, but like the Canadian government cares that their citizens like can survive if something bad happens. Whereas like we're here, they're like, yeah, you know, if it happens, hopefully your phone goes off and you have 20 minutes to drive
Well,
away.
look it up. If you live near a power plant, it's called
Interesting.
rad block, and it's
Rad
just one
block.
pill you take. I don't know
Interesting.
what it is exactly, but
That's wild.
apparently it can save you from radiation poisoning temporarily.
That's good to know. That's good to know. Wild. Okay. Uh, Also, big news. I think we were talking about the CEO of Sonos left a couple days ago. The chief product officer also. I think he got fired. Chief product officer is also leaving the company. I'm surprised. I also think they were threatening to fire him too, and they want to make him. You know, you when you're that high up, if you're leaving, you're not leaving. They're telling you to go,
That's right.
and they're going to give you a nice big severance package. But yeah, man, it'll be interesting to see. I have two like there's two splits in the road for the future of Sonos for me. Are you a big Sonos fan? Do you have Sonos products?
I don't.
So I used to have a ton of Sonos products, but then I switched everything over when the app started getting all crazy and crappy. I see kind of two paths. Sonos is either going to get way better now that they've gotten rid of this leadership that really screwed up, and this will be like a blip in the history and no one will ever notice, or you're going to see Sonos tank. And it's going to be a brand of the past, and you know, WIM Audio is the one I switched over to. Will become like the new leader in all that integrated stuff. So we'll see what's happening. The interesting thing about the market for this, I know you love music, so I'm curious to see who replaces this in terms of like because like Sonos isn't like audiophile level. Like, would you consider yourself an audiophile, Arthur? I'm curious.
Yes and no.
Yeah, there's some things that
My
you're like,
ears are highly tuned.
yeah, like you
I-
can't listen
do
to
I
an Echo
invest?
speaker, but you don't have to have like Kef $30,000 speakers and
No, I
sort of
don't.
thing.
I don't really invest in because I don't really listen to music that much, to be honest with you. Like
Really? I'm surprised by
yeah,
that.
I am more into creating it.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Or I like watching YouTube videos where I can actually like see what they're doing and like. But I do appreciate good audio, and I can tell the difference between good and bad audio. I just don't necessarily invest in the hardware myself. So I consider myself an audiophile because I like good quality audio, and
Cool.
but I don't invest
Okay.
in it because I just don't spend enough time listening. Maybe
That
down
makes
the
sense.
road, yeah,
Yeah, for sure. So you like would invest in like a good set of like in-ear monitors and
correct,
like yeah that sort of thing, or your studio monitors, but you don't necessarily have to have like the best sound bar ever in your living room.
correct.
That makes sense. Well, what's interesting about Sonos is like I think they have this really good like it sounds really good to 99% of those people. It's not like necessarily audiophile level, but also being integrated into like one speaker. So it's like that step up from like the Amazon Echo, but like isn't necessarily like an all in one. So we'll see if anyone ends up like kind of filling this gap. But also, the competition's gotten better. You can AirPlay to things now. You know, Google Cast, multiple rooms. Like, you know, the Sonos advantage is kind of dwindling away. Continued reminder to always be super vigilant when it comes to your cybersecurity because it looks like more hackers are getting into stuff every day. Witcher spinoff. Biggest bank acquisition. This might be something that falls on. Oh, dang it! It's hard for me. This is this frustrating for you? Do you ever like click on an article and then it's like paywalled and you're like, damn it,
Oh,
why do
that's the
I?
worst.
I've subscribed to this. This is the only local new business news, like article. It's like the Phoenix Business Journal, which is obviously part of the larger business journal, like conglomerate. But it's the only one that gives me like local business news. But if I click on this article, it doesn't show up. But I'm actually surprised there's actually some good information on it. Normally, it's one sentence, and then it's this like you need to pay block on here, but this article obviously is probably not super popular, so they are not monetizing it super hard. Oh, and that definitely didn't pop up, but yeah, I hate pay blocks. It's the worst. Now I'll just start asking Perplexity to tell me what happened when it comes to this news, and it'll go find it elsewhere and just summarize it for me. Okay, so I know we're burning past the hour on here, but we got 79 more articles to go. Do you? So I think you'll find this fascinating. We're talking about safety and stuff. There's a music festival in the EDM world called Lost Lands. It's in Ohio every year. It's like the mecca of dubstep, essentially. Imagine like Coachella, but only with dubstep. And it's absolutely gigantic. It's getting really big every single year. Last year, a bunch of different issues happened. So here I'm curious to hear your take on this. They had that the day 2 into the festival, the fire marshal said, "Remember that fire ban that we were all worried about? Yeah, I'm attacking it into your event right now." Like after the festival had started. So like I think they had known probably that this was coming, but they decided to go forward without it, and then it got impacted like halfway through the festival. So no camping stoves, no smoking, no fire anywhere except for the food vendors who were providing the official food for the event. So everybody who's cooking breakfast for themselves at their campsites can't do that, right? And then, everybody who's smoking, who wants to smoke, can't do that, right? And let's be honest, like people were still doing it anyways, right? But what ended up happening is that you would expect, and this is where I give a lot of hype to Excision and Jeff's ability to plan really great events. And I don't know the full story because I haven't asked anybody about this, but I think it was one of the worst decisions ever was that they allowed the food vendors to set their own prices. So now people can't cook their own food, and you let the food vendors set their own prices. Guess what happened?
It's like a dystopian kind of like Lord of the Flies situation.
100%. So prices got jacked up like crazy. People are super pissed that they have to pay, $20 for what is usually like $15 for a slice of pizza. Now we're paying $20, $25, and they have no choice. Like I at least understand like doing this, and I know I can go back to my campsite and cook food. And also, I don't think there was anything outrageous like people charging $100 for stuff, but it became pretty outrageous.
$20 for a slice of pizza is pretty outrageous. If you ask me.
Yeah. I mean, like it is for sure. So, people are obviously excited that pyro is going to be back, but it's funny. They're announcing all these improvements to it. What's also interesting, they made like a 360 stage that had like visuals and 360 degrees around. You put the DJ right in the middle for like, 5,000 people, like not a small stage at all. Now like every music festival is starting to do this. So this was a really,
but what's really weird about this whole situation is that like, to put a fire ban like a day into the festival.
Yeah.
It seems
no one's prepared.
There's something else going on there with like community is complaining or they're putting pressure on
Yeah.
the municipality or whatever, because they know there's, I don't know, what is it? Is it thousands, tens of thousands of people at this
Yeah,
festival?
tens of thousands. Yeah,
Like
40,000.
that they're, by doing that, like they're actually creating potentially a more dangerous situation than the fire itself. There could be people like stampeding or fights breaking out or just total
Oh,
chaos, anarchy, just going nuts, right?
so this isn't even mentioned in this article, but I know about this because I was watching this happen. I was fascinated from like an event management perspective. So it definitely things started getting a little crazy. The height of the incidents was that there ended up being a situation where somebody drove a car over somebody's tent, like a bunch of camper tents, and like it created complete hysteria. And this is obviously not mentioned here because I think it's probably like the worst story that came out of that weekend of the music festival. But it definitely it's I'm gonna be interested to see what ends up happening with this. I I suspect this will be similar, not even similar to. You remember L.A. EDC when they were in L.A. and then before they moved to Vegas? Do you remember this at all? This might have been
Remind
like
me.
I may have been too much of an EDM nerd. So EDC, Electric Days Carnival, like biggest electronic music festival, I think, other than Tomorrowland, maybe, especially in the U.S. Used to be in L.A. and it used to be in the Rose Bowl. I think that's what it's actually called, wherever they had the Rose Bowl. And the last year they did it there, it hit capacity, sold out the show. Well, people still wanted to get in. So they figured out how to hop fences, push their way in, trampling begins. And this is like, I want to say this was before the stage collapse in whatever it was, a few years later or a year later or so. So like this was like the worst thing to ever happen to a big music festival in a long time. People were saying like it's the death of the EDC. It's no longer going to happen. I think LA banned them from doing it there. They moved it to Las Vegas and they've gotten bigger. And it's like, no, it's the exact point. You didn't even know this happened. And I remember it being absolutely gigantic. I was thinking, with something as bad as this would put a big dent on it. But again, like, I bet you this number will be 50,000 next year. It'll be just as big. No harm, no foul. Let's bury all the bad press and let's just keep, let's keep growing our festival.
It's rare that, an event can survive bad press like that and actually
Yeah.
thrive. And actually
Like,
makes me think of the
Zoo-
Fire Festival.
Oh
Because
yeah, Fire Festival. Yeah.
Fire Festival, apparently Firefest 2 is coming
Oh
up in
God.
April.
Oh my
They've
God.
announced it.
I hope there
Sold
gets
about
no
100
news
tickets.
coverage. I hope it does terribly. I hope it fails. Like,
I'm just invested to see what happens. I'm
it'd be
curious.
interesting if they like own into the idea that it's a shit show and they make that like part of the theme and stuff like that. That would be the only way I think it would.
Could you imagine they actually kill it and like it becomes like the biggest like turnaround story of all time?
Well, it's got brand recognition now at this point, so that's where that's 50% of a music festival's like challenge is like how do you get people to talk about it in the same way Coachella and all these things like that exist. Did you hear about man? I think for some reason the name Zoo York is stuck in my head, but it's also just the fact that I think it's based in New York. But there's a big music festival in New York last year that oversold tickets, and it's not coming back. Like they completely shut it down. Insomniac's never doing it again. Like that show is never happening ever again. So it's interesting to see like the two parallels too. Granted, I think that one may have also had a lot of other issues where like stages were half completed and things like that. So maybe it financially wasn't doing well. So like this one, obviously the event's doing financially well. And that's why they're doing it again, probably. All right. Oh, well, speaking of Severance, apparently there's ways to watch it for free. So 7-day trial, 3 free months. Yeah, I mean, at this point, if you haven't used Apple TV Plus, you probably have like a free coupon to use it for 3 months sitting in your like.
I love the shows on Apple TV. Like
they're good. They're so good.
Really good shows. But they just don't make enough of them.
I think because it's a quality versus quantity game for them,
But yeah, I know. But you just forget about Apple TV when you're doing that like search of like going back and forth between Disney and Prime and Crave and whatever other ones you guys have in the US. And you just forget. And every once in a while, I'm like, I got to check out Apple TV. And I'm like, oh, crap. It's still the same shows. They haven't put out anything new. But like Foundation. Have you watched Foundation?
I watched a little bit of it. It's a little too slow for me, but
Oh, dude, great show. You got to give it another chance.
No doubt, no doubt. I probably
The
just
Silo. Have you been watching The Silo?
I love Silo. Yeah,
Silo's
season finale
great.
tomorrow on Friday
Yeah,
too.
stoked for that. Yeah,
yeah.
It's the only show I've been watching like weekly now. Like,
do you watch Do you watch Dark Matter too?
No.
Oh, see, that's where you missed. Like, so this is what they're smart. They're realizing that they are killing it in sci-fi. So what they're doing is like they're layering it, where it's like as one sci-fi show ends, the next one picks up immediately. So it was like Dark Matter and then Silo, like season 2 dropped like the next day, I think, or something like that. Something like that, essentially to that tune. But you should definitely give Dark Matter a try if you love sci-fi. I think they're doing a good job. I think I have no complaints about paying the money for Apple TV Plus because it's like I'm just so invested in the shows, and there's some that like I want to like I haven't even begun rewatching shows yet. But yeah, definitely. I think that's a dual endorsement from Arthur and I in terms of Apple TV Plus. This one's interesting. We're talking about Notebook LM. Google's Notebook LM had to teach its AI podcast hosts not to be annoyed by humans because you can now talk to it.
You know that's going to be like a protocol that all the AI like robots and everything they're gonna have to put into like don't get annoyed with the silly little humans.
Don't kill the human.
Yeah,
serve human no matter what. I will not hurt a human life. It's like iRobot for sure. You remember when like the Boston Dynamics robots, people were like kicking it, knocking it over, and things like that.
Yes,
that came to mind too. It's like,
yes,
okay, you get kicked by a human, you don't get to kick back, even though you know that's written everywhere. That's what more people would do. Interesting. Flights delayed by SpaceX's falling rocket debris. Probably seems pretty normal. Speaking of drones, DJI announced this new like flip drone, which might be worth checking out. It's like a little compact drone that folds on itself, and it's one of those ones you can launch from your palm. It can auto follow you.
I've seen those for years.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is probably much better.
Probably, yeah. It looks pretty good. I watched the little demo video of it, but we'll end up seeing. OpenAI appoints BlackRock exec to its board.
That's not a stupid move, right?
BlackRock. BlackRock. They have done so many great things for all the business out there. Substacks, live streaming. I think we talked about that yesterday. How to talk to ChatGPT on your phone.
Just be nice.
Just be nice.
It may remember later down the road if you're not.
I think there's so many people that don't know about that, like the advanced voice feature, like that we were talking about earlier too. Like most people are still using it just text input, and maybe using like voice to text to then send it, but don't realize that the advanced talking models just sound superhuman.
I love that.
Real ID. If you're an American, make sure you got a real ID, otherwise you won't be able to get on an airplane. What other stuff's going on? SSDs are on sale. This is wild. You build PCs, so you know. Terabyte 990, which is like the top of the line SSD I think that Samsung makes. I don't know. I think PCI 4.0 is the last gen. I think 5.0 is the new one. But $60. Do you remember when this was like $500 for a terabyte? Like, God, this is going to be storage prices are going to be what reminds me I'm very old. I remember when I had a 128 megabyte USB drive that I put my websites on, and it cost me $100.
Oh my God. Yeah, storage. The cost of storage is like gone down so much. It's
so wild. Now we just need the price of GPUs and memory, and it always is going down. It just always want to go faster. Okay, looks like we got through everything. Let's see if we got anything crazy happened. Drake sues the label we were talking about earlier. It popped up again. See if there's anything new. Blue Sky's coming out with his own photo share. This is smart. Like, build an Instagram competitor.
Are you on Blue Sky?
I'm not. Honestly, I'm very anti-social media. I'm on LinkedIn, and that's it. Yeah, what's been your opinion of it so far?
I haven't gone on yet, but I've been thinking about it. But I don't know. It's so much to manage. So many. It's
so much. I just want it to all go away.
I've been
like maybe one app.
Putting my all my eggs in LinkedIn and YouTube. Like
Yeah.
those are the two.
That's where I only spend my time. I watch a lot of YouTube, and that LinkedIn's the only place you can reach me. That's not my email address or phone number. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
But I mean, the idea of Blue Sky, I
Yeah.
find very interesting, right? And it's built on a sort of different sort of
Is it?
protocol.
Is it? Because if I remember right, Mastodon's like all in on the Fediverse and the federated like ability to connect, post everywhere, and it all connects and talks to each other. I think Blue Sky wanted to do that, and I think the shade that people give it is that it's not fully federated. Let's see if there's anything about the Fediverse in this article. I don't have time to read the whole thing, but I'll take any competition at this point because, to be honest, like I don't really like the idea of like a few very, very rich people having control over like where most people are getting their information now, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm a big fan of Blue Sky and Mastodon and all those things like that on it, but I'm also a big anti-fan. Like I don't think it's healthy for us to have an app that literally you just scroll through and look at pictures and videos all day long. Like you like the number, and this is where I'll throw shade at a lot of my friends. I have so many friends where I share articles and they just don't read them. Like they'll read the headline because it's in the text preview of the text message, but like the inability for anyone to want to spend more than 5 minutes learning what's going on and things like that.
You can send me those articles. I will read them.
I will send them to you for sure. Also Nest Protect and Google Home to our smart home stuff. Let's see what else stuff we got. Man, they're going hard promoting Severance. You can see the press is starting to come out through my newsfeed now. Glass water bottles. Man, if I had a glass water bottle, I'd break every 5 seconds. I lose so many water bottles. This is like a very fun fact about Will. Dell will tell you this, is that, you know, I love these like smart water bottles that track how much water you're drinking. This is my like 6th different try at finding the best one. I think this one, the Lark one, might win. But this is like a very expensive water bottle comparative to a reusable plastic water bottle or whatever, even a metal one. And I'll leave them everywhere. And I go, oh shit, I left my water bottle like 3 restaurants ago.
Dude, I have a better measuring system for you. Okay. You take that thing, non-tech version. Okay.
I'm so lazy. I don't even want to.
You drink the plastic bottle, you drink it, and then you're like, I've just drank 1 bottle of water,
which is 64 ounces, and
it's
then
measured
it. Yeah, I know. I just love the idea that like, here's the other thing when it comes to it, technically, is that if I were to give an argument for it, and this is me defending myself and being a little defensive, for sure, is that I sometimes like will drink half the water bottle and then I'll refill it just to be like, I'm thinking about refilling it. I might as well refill it right now, right? And so, you know, in that case, like I wouldn't have remembered that drinking half of it. I wouldn't even know how much I've drinking. And granted, I'm using an opaque water bottle. Maybe if I got a clear one, it had the marks and things like that. But also, I'm in. This is where I'm pro giving as much data as possible. There's parts that I really believe in. I'm probably considered less, actually, probably more liberal when it comes to giving data. Now I think about it, I literally talked about having a microphone listen to me 24%, like 24/7 an hour ago. But the ability like to give more data, and then I believe there's a future with health data, like we're going to give so much data to it, it's going to start coming to you and being like, the reason why you feel shitty right now is because you haven't drinking enough water. The reason why you're feeling shitty for the last month is that you've been behind on sleep, you haven't drank enough water, and you've been eating way too much cheese, you know? That sort of thing. Like I think where we're going to get to this future where like we can give so much data, it will be a lot more helpful to us beyond just like your heart rate's high right now. And I'm like,
well, you'll
be
wearing glasses that are tracking everything you put in your mouth, that has a wearable that tracks your blood pressure, your glucose, your everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there'll be tons of data there.
So where I like, I guess back to the full circle water bottle, is like I also like the ability that this automatically goes into like my Apple Health and track, you know, and sets goals and things like that for me. But I know I can do that manually. I just really don't want to. I almost like, I'm so early adopter on this, and I'm like, I'll literally pay the money to get a new water bottle when I lose it, and I'll literally deal with the fact that they're not all perfect, because I would almost like personally love to fund this being the way we do it. So That's a little side journey on it. This live stream is going to become how everyone learns way more about Will, because he just gets complete stream of thought
I
on
love
here.
it.
All right, I think we made it to the end of articles. To see every once in a while, it tries to combine articles, so it's probably finding a couple more things. All right, there we go. That's all the news that we have for today.
Just the top 400 articles for the day.
We went through all 400 articles of what Will's watching and paying attention to. So we went a little long. I think we went about 35 minutes over, but it was totally worth it because we got the chance to really dive into some cool stuff. Yeah, Arthur, before we end, because we spent so much time on my news feed and talking about what Will wanted to talk about, is there anything else that you think that we're missing that people need to know about?
I think that's a lot for one day, man.
That's what goes on my brain in like a morning for me. I'll just scroll through all the articles really, really fast. So
I'm saying I don't use Feedly though. I have to check that out. So that's
just
a standalone app.
Standalone app. You plug in your RSS feeds. If you remind me, just shoot me a DM, and I will. I can share you my. It's called an OPML file, and it literally will give you every blog that I subscribe to, and so it gives you a good starter list, and you can just delete a bunch of them. Granted, just to make it so you understand what you'll be getting into if I do that to you, is that these are all like the ones I favorite, and I really, if I have an article, I always read them. But like these are all my categories on here, and then you go like usually like 5 to 8 different blogs.
I'd definitely like to explore the psychedelics one.
Yeah, the psychedelics one. Oh, and obviously, the psychedelics category. Yeah, that's you can learn a lot about Will very quickly. Seeing that one on there, very fascinated with psychedelic research right now. But yeah, like I pay attention to like so many freaking different blogs. So granted, I also don't clean this up. So some of these don't post anymore. Like some of these are very easy for people to unsubscribe for. Like you probably don't care about the Ask a Pro detailer because I'm guessing most people out there don't detail their cars like I do. So it's very interesting. But yeah, I can share the file with it.
Didn't Google have like a thing?
Yep.
I remember I was subscribed to it and then I just stopped getting the emails.
I'm going to say I don't even remember what's Google Reader. That's what it was called. So yeah, Google Reader was fantastic. I used Google Reader for many years. They shut it down. And this was when Will always want to know what the best tool in the world is like, this was the one that a lot of people were talking about. This is one that I honestly has consistently gotten better too. So one cool thing that they did is you have the ability to set up mute filters. So we talked about you talked about Game of Thrones. You're about to learn a lot about Will.
Game of Thrones.
I want to make sure that, because it would just get so many articles about like, oh my gosh, and Game of Thrones and this announcement of Game of Thrones. I'm like, I really don't care about Game of Thrones. So I literally have it block all articles related to Game of Thrones. I honestly during some parts of like Trump's first term, like I had Trump blocked on here because I just got tired of all the Trump news that was going on here. I don't know what the hell this site is, but it was obviously bothering me enough that it was popping up a lot. There's people love, and this is again 14,000 articles in my feed over the last, I've had this for probably 10 years, probably now at this point, 14,000 articles about Game of Thrones. So you can see why, like, I also want to block it. Is like, I don't care about Game of Thrones. I don't watch Game of Thrones. You can love Game of Thrones. I'm okay with that. I don't hate on it that much. But like, I got sick of like Microsoft Flight Simulator. So many people were talking about that for a while too, because it was in my feed. So I like that fact that I can mute things. And then I can also set up priorities. This also might just tend to show a lot about Will, but you know what? I don't believe in privacy when it comes to this stuff because no one really cares. Let's see if I can find this on here. Is it under settings? Where is it? I want to find this for you so I can show this to you, because you can set up AI feeds. This again, like I don't really come in here and play around with this a ton. See, this is wild too. Like I haven't played with this at all, but you can make like executive summaries. This is like really designed to like if you need to pay attention to like an industry or big trends. Sorry, I'll go like off topic for a second just because you asked me about this and I don't really ever show this to people, but it does cool things like you can add multiple team members and create boards where like as you find articles, you can add them in, and then you can make an inter or even external newsletter that automatically sends all the articles that everyone's saved over like the last, week or whatever it may be, which is really fascinating. You can annotate on stuff, but the piece I'm really messing up on that I want to show is that there's an ability for you to tag certain topics you care about. I can't seem to find it anywhere on here. Maybe it's under topic follows. Yeah, no. So these are all my like Google. So you can set up Google alerts on here too, which is nice. I've told Nick Borelli if you ever ask Nick Borelli about his Google alerts, you definitely should. But like you can set up certain alerts within there. So like things that you don't follow and you want to bring into the feed. So for example, like obviously everything I do for work is in here. But what's cool is like, for example, I'll use one of the examples that's a little bit less embarrassing is like I have Chris Nolan as a thing. I care about like whenever Chris Nolan's next movie is coming out, I want to know everything about it. By the way, if you didn't know, Chris Nolan's making a movie based on the Odyssey, which is
I saw that and
it has a dope lineup of people.
I love.
I'm stoked for it. Like
I can't wait.
I'm into like media and literature like in a very sidelines way. Like I usually, unless it hits a movie or a TV show, I've read a few books here and there. Like I read the beginning of Wool, which is why I really like Silo, but I couldn't get through the unbearably long description of the sheriff walking up the stairs. And I had to like stop reading, but I read like, for example, The Martian, and I loved The Martian, and the movie came out. It was so good. So I love these sort of like sci-fi related readings, but I can't sometimes bear myself to read the Odyssey. And so
I come from an strict Eastern European background.
Oh my God.
Hungarian. And we didn't have TV for like a big part of my childhood.
Get out.
And once I hit like 8 or 9, we ended up getting a TV. But early on, my dad read us the Odyssey for our nighttime story.
Oh my God. How many like days do you think it took for him to read that?
God. Like, I don't know, probably years.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a little bit here and there, and I'm sure he summarized it.
Yeah.
And one time, this is a really funny story. I'll just tell it really quickly. One time I was supposed to do a project in grade 5 about a country, and I chose Greece. And I gaslit my teacher into thinking that I submitted it when I didn't.
No way.
She was going around handing back everybody's assignments. And when she came to me, she's like, oh, I don't have yours. I'm like, I gave it to you. You must have. She's like, yeah, I must have left it at home. She totally thought she lost it and gave me an A. And then my brother, my older brother was like, I call BS on this. And he's like, how did you write the project? As on the typewriter. We had a typewriter. So there was a tape on the typewriter. He took the tape out of the typewriter.
So you could see the history.
So he could see the history and starts going through it, and not a single word about Greece. So I got busted. And my punishment was my dad made me read a book like this thick on Greek mythology and had to write a report on every single myth.
For him.
That was my punishment.
And you love Greek mythology now.
I love Greek mythology.
That's the wildest part about it is that like it's definitely like when you're you're so impressionable as like a child, like you probably hated reading every word of it at the moment.
God.
But then like, now that you see like, yeah, all this stuff, it's like you're obsessed with. I love Greek mythology as well. So, but I didn't have to read a whole book on it. But I love like these mythologies and stuff like, the Odyssey and all these things like that, like are so cool because like there's so much of it woven into like a modern day storytelling that like, like for example, God, I'm going to do a terrible job. I should do this better as a Flash fan. But like, for example, what's his name is based on the Greek mythology. You probably know this better than me. Who's what's the fast guy, the messenger in Greek mythology? Oh, I'm testing you now, aren't I?
I should know this, but I don't.
Audience out there, which, by the way, I want to give a shout out to Crystal, who has been hanging out in the chat. And I totally didn't have the comments open, so I apologize for missing your comments. Definitely the cheese part for sure. And eyeballs aren't cheap. So if you're out there watching right now, if you know who you're talking about, but this is a great chance for me to ask, who is the fast messenger in Greek mythology?
It's not the guy with the wings on his feet.
It is 100%. Yeah. I want to say Hermes, but I might be wrong. Hermes. I was right. Okay.
Hermes, there you go.
That's why I always like, because modern day brands, man, like just screw with your brain. And it's like Hermes. No, isn't he like the god of like luxury or something like that?
And they brought him into the Marvel universe too, didn't they?
Yeah, with the whole like Zeus thing, and then now he's Hercules is there. Thank you so much, Crystal. We appreciate your forgiveness when it comes to it. In Greek mythology, Hermes is recognized as the fast messenger of the god, known for speed and agility, winged sandals, Teleria, winged cap. This is like where I like really love this sort of stuff because I'm like, okay, like I always learn something new. He's the divine messenger. He's practical, obviously not practical, physical methodology. He could move between Mount Olympus, Earth, and the underworld, which makes sense, like why like the Flash can move between dimensions and stuff like that too. He's associated with trade, travel, athletics, and even thievery. Interesting, because his versatility and quick-witted nature. Oh, yeah, and the Romans' gods was Mercury, who is also a nickname for one of the Flashes as well. Is it Shawnee? Hey, Shawnee. I'm from Arizona, and I have not been to Cayenta yet. Amazing. That's definitely a part of Arizona I need to definitely explore. Arthur, have you? I don't think I've ever asked you this question. Have you ever been to Arizona? Have you been a good Canadian and come down to Arizona before?
I have not been to Arizona.
We're gonna have to get you down here. I'm gonna take you to get some good burritos, and I think Shoni, if I'm not being too stereotypical, will go get some fry bread so he can try some good Arizona food. If I'm right, you're probably gonna kill me and hate me for even saying that, but. Yeah, I definitely need to check out the Navajo Nation. Dana, thanks so much for joining as well. Man, it seems like everybody.
You know what? I think like you get into about 2 hours into the stream.
And then everyone starts coming on in.
Everybody starts coming on. I got to do that for my own show. I mean, like 3-hour podcast episodes.
That's if there's anything I've learned too, it's always like at the end of the show is when I think I may have told you this is I started doing like live streaming on Twitch and DJing again and coming out of retirement and I started I did a show yesterday and it's like a 2-hour drum and bass like. They do these like things called trains, which is honestly, I think if anyone has never used Twitch before, it is an amazingly great community of people for sure. But they do this thing where you can, when you're done with your live stream, you can kick your live stream's audience to another live stream automatically. And it's honestly probably the coolest thing ever. And it solves this big problem with live streams, which is like, we're going to get done here. Where are you all going to go? Like, you're probably going to go to work and work on stuff. Like I have to go build a bunch of stuff for work and all that stuff. But like the idea that like we're so used to like television, like, that's the great thing about TV is like you're done. You hit it's going to kick to another program on that channel. But if you don't like it, you switch channels like immediately. And that's like an easy button press. But like with live streaming, like especially on LinkedIn right now, like where's everybody just going to go? And it's okay, Dana. You don't have to say you're sorry.
Yeah, the LinkedIn live stream leaves a lot of room for improvement.
For sure.
The experience and how people get notified and everything.
Yeah. Do you remember when it was first coming out? Because I remember you were kicking it hard like I was right over the pandemic when LinkedIn live streaming came out, and it made it where it notified it sent a push notification, said this person's live, and that's why I was doing it like every day during the pandemic. I was like, this is the only thing LinkedIn's allowing me to do where I can instantly get in someone's like notification feed. They turned that off right away though, unfortunately.
Yeah.
They should bring that back though. To be honest, like I think there's people who actually want to watch, like I want to watch your live stream show. I want to watch, everybody's live stream content. But the problem is like it's in the feed, and I don't want to go to the feed because
I'd at least like to know when it's happening and have
exactly.
the choice to join. Totally. Versus like having to RSVP to an event. Yeah,
which then I have to know about. The only reason I know about the event is because I either got the one of the 1,000 invites you can do per week, or that like I'm paying attention again to the feed. Like I think the news feed, and this is why I hate this is a rant on hating social media, is like the news feed is the single worst, and it's a great thing and the worst thing at the same time. But there needs to be the almost similar, hey.com, the email provider. Have you heard about hey.com at all?
No.
It's the people behind Basecamp, and they made an email like system like Gmail, but instead of it being where you set up filters to auto delete and block people, you have to say, I allow this sender to come into my inbox. And, that's what someone probably needs to do with social media, similar almost to Twitter and Blue Sky and stuff like that. But the problem is, like, right now, and I guess I'm following people and I have connections, but at this point, I have so many connections. To go back and unfollow people on my LinkedIn would take me a lifetime to go through and filter through.
Yeah, I
Maybe
think
there's
that's
like
the appeal of Blue
unfollow.
Sky, is that you can really hyper sort of personalize your
Mm-hmm.
feed.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
So,
not
like
just
similar like the Instagram, like close friends versus like in lists and stuff like that, right? I don't know. I'm
I
not on
haven't
Instagram
tried it yet.
anymore.
That's what I hear is like you can have hyper sort of focused feeds for different industries or different topics.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we were on our way to starting to close this one
Yes.
out. So
We don't. We'll never do it.
We're never gonna leave the internet. So Arthur, I want to give you one chance to jump in and also promote some of the cool stuff that you're working on. Since I'm assuming everybody here who's watching doesn't follow you quite yet. I hope they are. If you aren't, you're wild. So Arthur, where do people go to follow you, watch your show, self promote? Here you go.
Well, throw up my here my name there, because that's really
Yeah.
I'll put my full name here because I just have K. Okay, here you go. I'll put my full name. There you go.
Boom.
So that's my name. I like Will. I'm very much mostly on LinkedIn, and that's where I like to connect with people. And so follow me there. I do a podcast, a live stream show. It is somewhat inconsistent, I'm not going to lie, because I unlike this show where it's just like every day just talk, I put a lot of time and effort into curating my guests and my questions and my topics.
It's like a legitimate like television show. Like I will say, like the production value is out of this world. Good.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, it's just I enjoy doing it. I like this kind of off the cuff conversations too, but my show is just it's a little bit different, and would love to have you guys follow me and tune in. Actually, I've got Kate Patay is going to be my next guest, because we're going to be talking about her efforts and the efforts of the Search Foundation, and try to raise some money for people who are suffering in LA due to the fires. So that's going to be the next show. So stay tuned for that one. It'll be a little bit more of a serious show. My shows are typically on the entertaining, jovial side, but because I feel very strongly about the events entertainment industry, I feel like I have a small platform. Why not use it to try to raise some money for Search, which we also did during the pandemic with my band, where we put out a video and just basically said, I said, I'll put up like, I can't remember, it was like $500 or something. Like if share this video, I'll add $1 to the thing. And then a buddy of mine came in and said, I'll match whatever you put in. And then Michael Cirbelli came and said, I'll match whatever you put in. And so we ended up raising a few $1,000s. So hoping that we can do something similar. And that's the next show. So stay tuned for that.
Definitely go check that show out, because the show is amazing, but also that's a really, I think, amazing topic to be doing. That's so relevant right now. And for anybody who hasn't heard about Search Foundation, do a Google search right now, look it up. If you can put $1 in, whatever it is, it's definitely one of those groups that whatever you can put in can help out. But absolutely amazing group that literally puts money in the hands of people, event professionals that need it. And right now, a lot of event professionals in LA need help. So definitely check the show out. Check out Search
And these
Foundation.
Disasters aren't going to stop happening.
Oh, no, never. I mean, like, right? The amazing Search Foundation for literally been doing this for years, and like how much they've helped. And I remember hearing about it, I think back in the Katrina days, and how much they helped with Katrina. And like every year there's something crazy that happens that they end up helping out so much. They helped out so much in the pandemic. So I'm sure you guys will talk about more during this show for sure. And Kate's amazing. So she's a great guest. I know you've known her for a while too. So, definitely go check out the show. And yeah, type in Arthur's name right at the top of the search function of LinkedIn right now. or down below, or wherever the search Arthur's name down below up into the search function. There you go. I see what you're trying to do now. And connect with him, follow him. And we'll look forward to seeing the next show. But I'm got to end this one because I can never seem to end shows on time. So thank you so much, Arthur, for being here. Thank you for all the hearts and love from everybody. You guys are amazing. And I'm going to end the stream not abruptly in any sort of way.
So long, farewell, I'll be just saying good night. I hate to go and leave this pretty sight. So long, farewell, I'll be just saying adieu.
Adieu, adieu, to you and you and you.
So long, farewell, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen.
I'd like to stay and taste my first champagne. Yes?
No.
So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, goodbye.
I leave and heave a sigh and say goodbye.
I'm glad to go, I cannot tell a lie.
I flit, I float, I fleetly flee, I fly.
The sun has gone to bed, and so must I.